Hey, welcome to a new video. A time capsule is a collection of objects or information that is assembled with the purpose of preserving it for future generations. But what happens when these time capsules are opened? And what happens to those that remain unopened, with their contents still a mystery? Today we'll show you 20 of them. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video. Number 20. Marth Deflorian, a well-known French actress, inherited a beautiful apartment in the heart of Paris that was filled with decorations and luxury objects. During the height of the Gilded Age around the 1870s, Marth hosted many extravagant parties and events in this apartment. But everything changed during World War II, when Marth was forced to flee the south of France, leaving everything behind. For nearly 70 years, the stunning apartment remained locked and abandoned, with all of Marth's possessions still inside. It wasn't until 2010 that the apartment was opened and explored for the first time in decades. Among the many treasures found in the apartment was an incredible portrait of Marth's grandmother by the Italian painter Giovanni Boldini, which had never been seen before. This portrait was sold at an auction for an astounding $3 million. Other valuable items were also discovered, including love letters between Marth and Boldini, organized using a colored ribbon system. Number 19. "You have entered a new millennium" is one of the first things the Disneyland Time Capsule said. Disney is known for purchasing capsules, some of which have recently been opened, and others still have a few years to go. In April 2023, as part of Disney's anniversary celebration, a time capsule was opened at Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida. The time capsule was buried in 1998 in honor of Disney's 25th anniversary, and was opened 25 years later in 2023. The contents of the time capsule included various items and memorabilia from the opening year, such as park tickets, promotional materials, and even a VHS tape of a special program that aired on Disney Channel. Park employees created a video showcasing the contents of the time capsule, giving viewers a glimpse into the history and culture of Disney over the past 25 years. Another Disneyland time capsule was buried on July 17, 1995, in celebration of Disneyland's 40th anniversary. The capsule was buried in the forecourt of Sleeping Beauty Castle and is scheduled to be opened on Disneyland's 80th anniversary in 2035. Number 18. The Voyager Golden Record is a phonograph record that was included on both NASA's Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacecraft, which were launched in 1977. The record was intended as a message from Earth to any potential extraterrestrial civilizations that the spacecraft might encounter. Under the guidance of astronomer Carl Sagan, a team was assembled to compile the Golden Record. The record contained analog images and sounds of natural phenomena, such as thunderstorms and volcanic eruptions, as well as music ranging from Western classical music to traditional African and Chinese music. The spoken greetings in various languages were meant to convey the diversity of humanity. The images on the record included pictures of human anatomy, as well as images representing the diversity of life on Earth, including plants, animals, and landscapes. There were also diagrams and scientific info, including a map showing the location of Earth and the Milky Way galaxy. While the Voyager Golden Record received much praise, there was also critics who objected to the idea of sending such a message into space. They argued that it was reckless to transmit information about our planet and civilization to potential extraterrestrial civilizations, as we couldn't predict how they would react. Number 17. Thornwell Jacobs' Crypt of Civilization is a time capsule located in Atlanta, Georgia, that was sealed in 1940 and is scheduled to be open in the year 8113. The Crypt civilization is considered one of the world's first time capsules and was created as a way to preserve the history of human civilization for future generations. Thornwell Jacobs embarked on this project and created the Crypt as a room filled with various objects from the early 20th century. The idea was conceived by him in the 1930s and was inspired by the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun in Egypt in 1922. The objects included items such as Sears Roebuck catalog, a microphone used by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and a model of Lindbergh's Spirit of St. Louis airplane. The room itself is also equipped with various newspaper clippings, scientific instruments like a microscope, and a piece of cake. The aim was to provide a snapshot of human civilization at that time, so that future generations can learn about how people lived back then. The time capsule is currently sealed behind a 1-ton door. Number 16. In 2016, a time capsule was discovered in Poland, reportedly prepared in the 1930s by Nazi officials. It was found during construction work in a town in northwest Poland. The time capsule was made of copper and sealed with lead. Inside the capsule, researchers found a collection of documents, including newspapers, photographs, and other artifacts from the early 20th century. The objects were believed to have been left by Nazi officials in 1934, during the construction of an SS training center. The discovery also shed light on the construction of the nearby SS training center, which was used to train SS officers in combat techniques. Some items revealed the names and photographs of individuals who had been trained at that center. Despite being buried in the ground for over 80 years, the contents of the time capsule were described as very well preserved. Number 15. This time capsule was discovered in Athribis, an ancient city in northern Egypt, and is believed to have been buried during the reign of King Psamtik in the 7th century BC. That means it was buried almost 2,500 years ago. The time capsule is made of stone and is adorned with hieroglyphics and other symbols. Inside the capsule, archaeologists found a collection of notes written on pieces of ostraka. Ostraka were small pieces of pottery or limestone used as writing surfaces in ancient Egypt. The notes are believed to have been written by citizens of the city and contain various info such as records of financial transactions, personal letters, and other written documents. The languages include Demotic, Greek script, and inscriptions of hieratic, hieroglyphic, and Arabic texts. Some tablets contain grammar exercises and arithmetic problems. The discovery of the time capsule is one of great significance, as it provides new insights into the daily life and activities of citizens during the reign of King Psamtik. In total, 18,000 tablets of info were found, all of which hold a wealth of knowledge. Number 14. If humans are ever completely wiped out, there's a backup. The Immortal Drive is a time capsule containing a selection of human DNA samples that was launched into space on October 21, 2008, as part of a commercial initiative by the DNA Select Group. The capsule was attached to the exterior of the International Space Station, where it remained until 2011, when it was brought back to Earth. The Immortality Drive is designed as a symbolic representation of humanity and contained DNA and messages from a diverse group of individuals, including physicist Stephen Hawking, comedian Stephen Colbert, and several other prominent figures from the worlds of science, politics, and entertainment. The idea behind the Immortality Drive was to enable future generations to learn more about human biology and culture, and potentially use the DNA samples to clone humans or create other genetically modified organisms. Number 13. The MLK Capsule is a time capsule that was buried at the Martin Luther King Jr. Monument in Washington, D.C. on October 19, 2011, as part of an inauguration ceremony for the monument. Among the items included in the capsule are letters from civil rights leaders, a medal commemorating the March on Washington in 1963, and a copy of the New York Times from the day MLK was assassinated. Some notable items in the capsule include a copy of MLK's I Have a Dream speech, and a letter from former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, reflecting on the importance of his legacy and the ongoing struggle for social justice. However, the MLK capsule is not the first time the capsule was associated with him. In 1985, a time capsule was buried containing MLK's personal belongings in Atlanta, where it will remain until 2025. The MLK capsule, on the other hand, was buried beneath the granite slab at the side of the monument and will be opened in 2076. Number 12. In 2017, restorers of an 18th century statue of Jesus Christ in the town of Sotelo de la Ribera, Spain, discovered a hidden document. The document was written by Joaquin Minguez, a chaplain of the Cathedral of Burgo de Osama at the time. This document, a handwritten note, was carefully placed in the hollowed-out section of the statue's buttocks. While not a traditional time capsule, it served a similar purpose by preserving a snapshot of the time it was written. The note was dated 1777, making it over 200 years old when it was found. It contained detailed info about that period, including political, religious, and social data. Joaquin wrote about the common diseases, popular games, and agricultural matters. He mentioned that typhus and malaria were common diseases at the time, and that card and ball games were common pastimes. The chaplain also described the statue itself, noting that it was made by Manuel Ball, a man who crafted other wooden statues for churches in the region. The document provided a detailed account of the 18th century Spanish life. And Joaquin's dream came true when the document was discovered during the restoration of the statue. Number 11. The Cleopatras Needle is an ancient Egyptian obelisk that was presented to the British government by the ruler of Egypt, Muhammad Ali Pasha, in 1819. The obelisk was transported to London and erected on the banks of the River Thames in 1878, where it still stands to this day. A time capsule was then placed in its pedestal. The capsule was made of lead and contained objects intended to provide insight into the time when the obelisk was erected, as well as the culture and society of that era. Among the objects in the time capsule were a set of 12 photographs of the most beautiful women of the time, a box of hairpins, a box of cigars, a set of imperial weights, a baby's feeding bottle, a complete set of contemporary British coins, and a railway guide. The time capsule was meant to be opened in 1978, 100 years after it was placed in the pedestal of Cleopatras Needle. However, due to concerns about the safety of the obelisk and the difficulty of accessing the pedestal, the capsule was opened in 2018. Number 10. The Keo Time Capsule was a project that was initiated in 1995 by French artist and architect Jean-Marc Philippe. The goal of the project is to create a time capsule that will be launched into space and orbit the Earth for the next 50,000 years. The Keo Time Capsule is designed as a large pyramid-shaped vessel made of an advanced radiation-resistant material. It was intended to be filled with a diverse range of objects, including messages from people all over the world, samples of soil, air, and water from various parts of the planet, and even samples of human DNA. These objects were meant to serve as a kind of message in a bottle for future generations and provide insights into the world as it was in the late 20th and 21st centuries. The time capsule was also designed to be equipped with various technologies that would allow future generations to access the contents of the time capsule. These technologies would include a viewing window through which people could look inside without opening it. Number 9. 40 years ago, during the annual 4th of July picnic in 1981, a ceremony took place to commemorate the establishment of Skywalker Ranch, which would soon become the official home of Lucasfilm once the new buildings were completed. To celebrate the company's 10th anniversary and officially inaugurate this new era for Lucasfilm, a time capsule was placed in the cornerstone of the main building. This time capsule contained various mementos and artifacts representing the cultural and commercial legacy of Lucasfilm up to that point. The contents included Star Wars-related items such as various action figures, a miniature wind-up R2-D2 toy, and much more. It also included archives of significant moments in Lucasfilm's history, such as the original Lucasfilm agreement with Universal for American Graffiti in 1973, and the mysterious unnamed science fiction film. George Lucas hopes that the time capsule will remain unopened for a long time. If that's the case, it will certainly evoke amusement, wonder, and curiosity for whoever discovers it in the future. Number 8. The Hiroshima Time Capsule Expo 70 was a time capsule created to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the atomic bomb attack on Hiroshima, Japan during World War II. The time capsule was buried on March 10, 1970, at the site of Expo 70 in Osaka, a world exposition in Japan. The capsule was made of stainless steel and was designed to remain buried for 500 years. It was filled with various objects, including photos of the devastation caused by the atomic bomb attack, testimonies from survivors, and messages from people around the world expressing their hope for peace and a nuclear-free world. In addition to the time capsule, Hiroshima also had a pavilion at Expo 70 showcasing the city's reconstruction. The pavilion featured exhibits highlighting these dangers of nuclear weapons and advocating for disarmament. The time capsule is scheduled to be opened in the year 2470. However, due to concerns about corrosion and degradation of the capsule over time, it was decided to excavate the capsule after only 30 years, in the year 2000, and replace it with a new capsule containing the same objects as the original. Number 7. The Salt Lake Temple is a time capsule buried within the Salt Lake Temple, located in Salt Lake City, Utah. The Salt Lake Temple is a central structure of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the time capsule represents an important historical artifact from the early history of the church. The time capsule was buried on April 6, 1892, during the dedication of the Salt Lake Temple. It was created by then leader of the church, Wilford Woodruff, who wanted to preserve significant mementos and documents for future generations. The contents of the time capsule was carefully selected to represent the beliefs, history, and culture of the church. The items included photographs of church leaders and members, copies of church publications, a handwritten letter from Wilford Woodruff, a copy of the Book of Mormon, and various other objects considered important in the early history of the church. Over the years, the contents of the Salt Lake Temple time capsule have been periodically reviewed and updated to ensure they remain relevant and reflect the current beliefs and practices of the church. In fact, the time capsule has been reopened and updated 4 times, in 1931, 1951, 1972, and 1992. Number 6. The world of cinema has a long tradition of groundbreaking and experimental projects, but few can compete with 100 Years, the movie you'll never see. This innovative film project is the result of a collaboration between renowned director Robert Rodriguez and acclaimed actor John Malkovich. The film is intended to be released only in the year 2115, meaning that no one who was alive at the time of its production will be able to see it. The film itself is stored in a specifically designed secure time capsule. The futuristic vault will automatically open November 18, 2115. The plot of the film is being kept strictly confidential. 3 teasers have been released, but they provide only vague hints about possible themes, as each trailer is set in different hypothetical future scenarios. Rodriguez and Malkovich didn't make the film for their current audience, but for the future viewers. What do you think the film is about? Let me know in the comments. Number 5. The statue of Robert E. Lee in Richmond, Virginia had a time capsule beneath its pedestal. The statue was erected in 1890 and was made of bronze and granite. It commemorated the famous Confederate general who led the Army of Northern Virginia during the American Civil War. The time capsule was placed during the construction within the pedestal and was filled with various items that were significant for that period. The capsule was originally intended to be open after 50 years. However, due to the changes in the political climate and the controversy surrounding the statue, the time capsule was removed from the pedestal in 2020. During the removal process, it was discovered that the capsule had suffered extensive damage from years of exposure to the elements. Despite the damage to the capsule, several artifacts were recovered, including some items from the Civil War era, such as a photograph of the Confederate leaders, a list of contributors to the construction of the statue, several late 1800s coins, an image of a popular Confederate painting, and a few newspaper articles from the time of the statue's dedication. Number 4. The John F. Kennedy Time Capsule is a historical artifact that was buried on the grounds of the White House in 1965, commemorating the 25th anniversary of Kennedy's presidency. The capsule was intended to be opened in the year 2065, but was unearthed in December 2020 for a redesign of the White House South Lawn. The time capsule was created by the Kennedy family and contained various items such as speeches, photographs, and ceremonial invitations. The capsule also included an audio tape with a recording of Kennedy's speech at the groundbreaking of John F. Kennedy's Presidential Library in Boston. Originally, the time capsule was planned to be buried at the Kennedy Presidential Library in Boston, but the Kennedy family decided to have it buried on the grounds of the White House instead. The time capsule weighed over 1,000 pounds, or about 450 kilograms, and was made of welded aluminum, making it difficult to move and open. The time capsule is scheduled to be open on November 22, 2065. Number 3. The creator of this time capsule made it with the sole purpose of not being forgotten. The Seward Time Capsule is the world's largest time capsule and was built in 1975, located in Seward, Nebraska. It was constructed by Harold Keith Davison, a local businessman and avid collector who spent years upon years gathering thousands of items for the capsule, ranging from everyday objects to rare and unusual artifacts. It contains a collection of 5,000 items. The time capsule is situated in a small town park in Seward, and it's freely accessible to the public. The time capsule is buried beneath a 45-ton vault under an earthen mound and is sealed to protect the contents from damage and decay. The time capsule is said to be opened in the year 2025, 50 years after it was first sealed and buried. Believe it or not, originally there was an intention for Davison to seal himself along with the items in the capsule, but local officials prohibited this. Number 2. The Einstein Capsule is a time capsule that was created and buried in 1939 at the opening of the Jewish Pavilion at the World's Fair in New York City. The time capsule was buried with the intention of being opened 5,000 years later in the year 6939. The capsule contained various items, including a letter from Albert Einstein himself. In the letter, Einstein reflected on the state of the world at the time and expressed his hope for a better future. The letter was a plea for peace and cooperation among nations, reflecting Einstein's belief in the power of science to solve global problems. The contents of the time capsule also included a copy of the Ten Commandments, a copy of the Declaration of Independence, a Jewish prayer book, a microscope, a fountain pen, and other items chosen to represent different aspects of human life and achievements. The Einstein Time Capsule is unique since it was created by one of the most brilliant minds in modern history and reflects Einstein's perspectives on the world. Number 1. This is one of the oldest time capsules ever discovered in the United States, dating back to 1795, making it over 225 years old. The Samuel Adams and Paul Revere time capsule is a historic time capsule that was originally buried in 1795 by Paul Revere and Samuel Adams. Paul Revere became famous for warning the countryside about the advancing British Army. And Samuel Adams was an influential statesman who played a key role in organizing the Boston Tea Party and other revolutionary acts. The time capsule was rediscovered in 2014 during routine construction work in Boston, Massachusetts. The time capsule itself is made of brass and is about the size of a cigar box. It was buried beneath the Massachusetts State House in Boston and was originally intended to commemorate the start of the building's construction. The contents of the time capsule were chosen to reflect the values and ideas of the Revolutionary era and included coins, newspapers, and various other items. When the time capsule was rediscovered in 2014, it was opened in a carefully controlled laboratory environment to prevent further damage to the contents. Among the items found were 5 folded newspapers from the time, including one with an article about George Washington's farewell address. Would you ever want to leave a time capsule for someone in the future? Let us know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.